Well, we're back for the second hour, and we have another good surprise because we have another guest in this stretch of the show. But of course, she is somebody that has been here several times, and she's just back to give us an update and her view of new recent events. And we have with us again Barbara Hartwell. Welcome. We're happy to have you again.
Thanks, Dr. Carpenter. I'm happy to be with you.
And we have had all sorts of things happening. But before we get into new occurrences and your view of what has been going on, I was wondering if what you have to say about what we discussed during the first hour about the third parties and the debate and the guests we had.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of disagreements that I have with your previous guest. And one of them, and I've heard this story a number of times. For instance, the Tea Party. They all say, oh, the Tea Party was started as a grassroots movement. Okay, and then it was taken over by, say, Glenn Beck, Sarah Palin. I don't know if he mentioned these people, but no, I don't believe that at all. I believe all these things. From the minute I heard about the Tea Party, I had reason to believe it was just another controlled opposition, because they have to control. You see, they raise an opposition to the status quo. What's going on? So suddenly you have, oh, Tea Party patriots. We are against the status quo. You know, we are revolutionaries or whatever they're saying. But who engineered this? Was it a grassroots group of people? No, not in my opinion. Based on my own professional experience, no. Somebody engineered this Tea Party as controlled opposition. And sure enough, after it stated its purpose, you know, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You'll note that the Tea Party shortly stopped questioning Obama's citizenship, whether he was a natural-born citizen. Suddenly that was a side issue. And it was the only issue. It was the main issue. Aside from the fact that Obama is a communist, is a Muslim, and a criminal, okay, a criminal, suddenly his natural-born citizen status was not the issue. They shifted to other issues. And this is the way that the controlled opposition works. You know, they start out with something that everybody can maybe identify with, and suddenly they're shifting. And suddenly then you see Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin and all these other shills come forward to take over. Okay? And then, of course, the Tea Party is neutralized. And I don't remember the other, your guest mentioned another organization. I don't remember what it was.
Occupy?
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned that.
Oh, no, that's another one. The Occupy Wall Street movement was a completely globalist, communist, socialist thing, an agenda from day one. And again, they made it seem like, oh, people are taking to the streets. They're coming forward and camping out in the streets. And you get all this publicity and propaganda. If you look deeper into it, you can see who all was funding this. And it wasn't grassroots people. The people from Occupy Wall Street were promoting full-blown communism. Okay? So no, I don't believe that either the Tea Party or the Occupy Wall Street, which appears to be two ends, once again, of the political spectrum. They are not. They are the focal point of globalist government on both sides. So no, I don't believe any of these things was ever a grassroots. There are people funding this and engineering this way high above that you could not even identify. Forget about like George Soros or others. Okay, there are other people that are higher up that we will never even hear about. But they are the ones engineering and funding this. So no, I do not believe it started out okay. Oh, it started out as grassroots. No, I believe it's all part of the plot spawned by the very globalist and fascists, communists, totalitarian.
No facts. Leave the facts out.
Oh,
That's just a name.
It's a name, but it's misused.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's call them globalist totalitarians. That certainly describes who they are.
Well, the country is becoming totalitarian, if
Yes,
you look
it is.
at it, because with the behavior of Homeland Security and behavior of FDA, that's a totalitarian
Well, it certainly
regime.
is, Dr. Carpenter. And I can tell you that following 9/11, immediately following 9/11, in September of 2001, suddenly they come out with this Department of Homeland Security.
it's Hitlerian. It's Hitlerian sounding, isn't it?
Yes, as if it just came into spontaneous combustion overnight. No, this was all planned. It was all planned before. It was all written. All the documentation for this organization was written, and it's high treason is what it is.
Yeah.
There is no excuse for high treason in the Department of Homeland Security. And it started right up, and people do not understand, or the majority of people do not understand, what was being plotted and planned, and that 9/11 was an operation. It was a psyop, an operation in order to usher in the New World Order and lock down. So any of these organizations that you find, Tea Party, Patriots, Occupy Wall Street, it's all nonsense. The only thing that matters is individual rights, God-given rights, as protected and guaranteed unalienable rights under the U.S. Constitution. Anything else is nonsense.
And think about this. The Office of Criminal Investigation for FDA was created in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So with the 9/11, then they could justify everything, and everything went snowballing down the hill. Okay?
That's right. And every agency in government that I've ever known about has some kind of criminal investigation division. Usually it's called CID, Criminal Investigation Division. They have it in the military. They have it in various organizations across the board. And so it's supposed to be sort of like internal affairs, right? Internal affairs in any group, or, bureau, agency, organization. And supposedly that's supposed to protect the people, we the people, from criminals inside the government.
Right, and not the criminal investigation of others.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not at all. And so, I mean, the corruption is so extreme. I mean, this is something that I have been dealing with for so very many years, decades. The criminal corruption is so extreme that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to bring forth the truth and have anybody listen.
Yeah. They just don't want to, but also because they don't want to do anything about it. That's why they don't listen. They don't listen because
they don't want to change their worldview. And
we got a break.
We have a break coming. I hear that.
Yeah. Okay.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. We will be victorious.
Okay, we are back from the break, and Barbara is with us, and now we are going to shift from the interlude of politics. I just introduced it because I hope that people will take into their hand the idea that we do not have to remain a two-party country, and the two parties are too much cooperating and buddy-buddy with one another, even though they claim to be enemies. And something needs to be done, and I thought it would be a good idea to present the opportunity to listen to what these people have to say. You just want to watch, not just what they say, because people say a lot of things they don't mean, but just their facial expression and everything connected with it, just to give a general impression of who it is. And with that in mind, I don't see how anybody could really pay any attention to the candidates we have.
Yeah, it's just another instance of controlling monopolies.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're going back to the COINTEL issue, the things done against us, and what is happening now. Has been silence from the trolls on the web. They figure all the garbage that is still on the web is enough. Whoever paid them doesn't want to pay anymore because they think they have achieved what they want. But there is always an element of doubt because our radio program is still on, because we are often laughing on the program. And
don't forget, when the FDA raided you, what was one of the things they took? They took your promo material for the radio show. Why?
Radio.
Why would they care about that?
What is that got to do with anything, and what's illegal about that? But it's always been an issue, even with the snake barrister. Barrister Hiss has always been an issue. Oh, the radio program, you could stop it if you wanted to. You could do it. Why are you keeping it up? You know.
What do you mean, oligarchy?
Right. So, okay, apparently they have achieved what they want. They won what appears to have been a victory of the war, not just the battle. But, as I said, the element of doubt must be there all the time because we're not dead, okay, on the air. So,
have to continue to stand up for the truth, Dr. Carpenter.
Right. And what else they can come up with? They would have to find out if I'm operating, when I'm operating, where I'm operating, there's something like that line. So that probably explains what happened this week.
Okay, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, now, mind you, I am busy doing a lot of things, so I don't go out much. And I do have the company van. And the van rides high, so it's good for me because I'm a small Italian woman. So,
and it's still got Lay's Med logos on both sides
and it's
of it.
gonna stay there. And so it rides high, but it does have, like many vans, a very small rear window. And the window, there is a door in the back, so the window split in the center, so even less view. Plus, rides so high that is a car riding low on the road is following me. I cannot see it. And if it's right behind me, I cannot see with the rear view mirror, so it's hard to tell what is going on. I went to a couple of places. I came back. When I pull into the driveway, see, you have to consider that this is a cul-de-sac. So if somebody's following me, I pull into the driveway. Oops, there's nothing. Nowhere else to go. So I pull into the driveway, and I see this dark, heavy-tinted window, low-on-the-ground car, slowing down tremendously, and then just inching around in the cul-de-sac, and it looked like it pulled into a driveway. I said, well, okay. And I went in, and then I came back out and brought in some things, and then I came back out to take out things that were in the trunk of the van. And I noticed that this same car is pulled very slowly away from that driveway in the cul-de-sac, and it started slowly, really slowly, ridiculously slow, like a child car, rolling very slowly and past the, 'Cause 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 the, 'c was in front of our driveway. Didn't stay there and moved to the side, just in position where my van was covering. If anybody from the house looked out, couldn't see it because it was the view was blocked by my van. But I had seen it, and I still needed other things to get out of the trunk, so I kept an eye on what he was doing. And apparently, all of a sudden, it started inching over again. Then
that was about the time that I stepped out and took a look at him, too, and I was looking really intently, trying to see behind the tents.
And that's when he moved a little
didn't
faster.
like that.
Yeah, moved a little faster, moved out of the way, and then ended up stopping at 2 houses down as he was getting out of the cul-de-sac. So
he never got out of the car. So what was he doing there?
Yeah, and moving.
Well,
I
have something to say about what he was doing there. When you have somebody that's a suspicious person in your neighborhood, especially a cul-de-sac,
Local plates.
Yeah, if he was visiting someone, he would have simply pulled up to the driveway of the person that he was visiting. If he made a wrong turn and was trying to turn around in the cul-de-sac, he would have simply continued on his way in a circle and gone out. But inching along slowly, skulking along
Exactly.
in a surreptitious manner, that tells me what he's up to. And what he's up to is one of two things, or possibly both. One is surveillance, and the second is the possibility of he's attempting to intimidate you. Like, here I am, I'm in this heavy tinted window car, I'm here. This is such a typical tactic in the counterintelligence. They want you to get paranoid or fearful, assuming they can achieve those ends.
They are not used to somebody that doesn't panic and doesn't become suicidal or something. Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Carpenter, I've had the same situation so many times, I can't even count. And if I spot someone like this outside of my house, my way is to go right out. And if they're parked, sometimes they just park out there, with the engine running. And I will walk up right to the car and said, what is your business here? What are you doing here? Okay?
I was very close to that point, actually, but
it
happened.
Yeah. Or another tactic that you can use that I've done is you go out there with a camera, very obviously, a camera, and you just take a snapshot of that individual or a snapshot of the license plate.
Right.
He's out there in public view. He's obviously up to no good. So you go out there and take a shot. But the thing is that usually when that happens, they will run for cover. They will
and they can always change car and use another one. And
they usually work in teams. So that sometimes you don't see the same car or the van, the surveillance van. That's how they operate. So what it sounds like to me is they're trying to find something out. What is Dr. Carpenter up to now? What is she doing?
Yeah.
Is that the break?
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Now let me get this straight.
Yeah, there are many things that need to be straightened out. But back to what we were talking before the break about this suspicious car inching around and acting very strange. The first thought that comes to mind is, of course, COINTEL and secret agent. Okay, this is no way to say that the guy...
Fighting cavities of evil, safeguarding America's health.
Okay, but this is no way to indicate that this particular individual was that good in what he did, because actually was pretty, for surveillance, was pretty pathetic.
Pretty blatant.
That's right, because he...
For an agent here.
Unless the purpose was intimidation and not surveillance. Because I thought about it, and surveillance, well, they got Michelle Woven, what is, snake oil peddler.
Snake oil peddler and agent provocateur.
Oh, absolutely. She could have called the neighbors again, contacted them, and asked, what is she doing? What they're doing? I know she did it last spring because...
Several times.
All of a sudden, yeah, but the last time that I know of was last spring when Wendy had the sticker of Avon on her truck before that guy that here made that sticker fly out, so she doesn't have it anymore. But she had it back then, the Avon representative sticker, selling Avon.
Mm-hmm.
And really, she wasn't really selling that much Avon. It's more of you buy that for personal use and you get a discount that way. But anyway, that's another issue. She had it on her car, and of course, Michelle Woven could not have seen it. She mentioned that, so she obviously had the information from the neighbor. So why would they go through the neighbor again and ask her what I was up to? Instead, they sent this ridiculous secret agent.
Yes. Well, Dr. Carpenter, it's just a typical tactic to approach and try to recruit the neighbors from which surround you, the people that surround you. We already know.
Yeah.
Walden.
And, we probably do have, every show probably, we get new people that don't know what it is we're talking about. We're talking about a year or two that went by where every day on a few blogs, there were people, 3 people mainly, Michelle Woven being the ringleader, that were telling lies about Dr. Carpenter and then spreading them to as many people as they could. And they were sending messages to us. I made the mistake of engaging these people a few times, getting on the blogs myself and trying to argue with them. And at one point, this Michelle person said to me on a blog that you just watch. We're going to get in touch with your neighbors and we're going to tell them all kinds of things. And I blew it off at first, but about a month went by, and one day the kids were here in the garage, and 2 of them were having a little fight, and they were screaming pretty loud. And that evening, it must have been less than an hour after it actually happened, I looked at this particular blog where all this activity was happening, and Michelle Woven had put in there that you people sure are loud. You need to keep your kids a little more quiet. Maybe you should move to the country or something. And that was our signal to let us know that she was in touch with the next door neighbor.
Well, yes. This Michelle Woven is a busybody stalker. She's sticking her nose in other people's business. She's invading privacy, and she's recruiting others to do the same thing with fabrications, with lies, with outrageous libel and slander. And this is very typical of the way these people operate. I've heard hundreds of stories and experienced hundreds of incidents of this nature. This is how they operate.
But still, going back to what happened, had to be that, of course, he was trying not to be noticed. He was trying to be sort of incognito, but was doing not a very good job. But he was trying that. So I don't know whether it was intimidation or just trying to find out. I don't know what. I guess they are figuring out.
Well, he was up to no good, Dr. Carpenter.
Obviously.
That's what we need to establish. He was up to no good. And I hope to God you can get his license plate number, or if they send another car, you can get that.
We might have it.
Really?
I'm not saying anything, but we might have it.
Okay, well, maybe you do. And if you do, I can tell you right now, I'm very willing to publish that information on my website, because actually I'm working on another article, probably be out within the week, exposing further Michelle Wolven, the psycho stalker freak.
Yeah, absolutely. But even this guy, I don't. And what are they trying to find out? Okay, I guess because they feel that I probably am not giving up. But there are many ways of not giving up, and many ways that they cannot stop. So.
No, they can't. They can only do so much. Yeah, they can slander and libel you. They can defame your good name. They can
send me suspicious email, people fishing for information. I mean, like, I cannot tell that those are just fishing.
Of course. That's what they do. That's how they operate. And as Randy mentioned before, about engaging them. See, I personally never ever engage them. I simply expose them. Once they put my name out in a public forum anywhere, then I expose them. I investigate. I find out all the information I can, and I write a report exposing them. If you engage them, then you're embroiled in an argument that you can't really win, because they'll just keep coming back.
Right.
And they keep lying about
using multiple names, too.
Yeah, of course they do, because they use multiple aliases. You get one scumbag, one provocateur, and they use multiple aliases and email addresses to make it look like, well, there's an army of us out here against you. There may be one or two, okay? And they try to make it look like there's an army, and there's not.
Yeah.
Well, and by the time the FDA came in with their so-called 3 complaints, the wording of the things that they had to say was verbatim out of the mouth of these trolls that had been on the blogs for over a year.
Exactly.
Or 2 years, actually.
It tells you exactly the caliber, the level of...
Tells me they were connected to the same people.
Of course. But it also tells you is what kind of people are these federal agents? That their sources are liars and people with an agenda. I mean, in other words, if you look at Michelle Wolven, and I said this before on my website, and I'll say it again, Michelle Wolven is a proven liar. I documented how she went out to these clinics, abortion clinics, and then trying to block, she was engaging in illegal activity by trying to block the entrance to the abortion clinic.
And she was not arrested.
She was not arrested, and yet Michelle Wolven filed false complaints against the clinic workers and even police officers, stating that they, quote, assaulted her and her sister-in-law. Then they got her into court. She dragged these people into court, and when she got on the witness stand, she admitted that no, nobody assaulted me. So what does this say? The woman is a liar.
We got another break coming up. The last one.
The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Well, at least I hope you're listening.
We got a few people in the chat room. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. Italian Truther. Yeah,
really?
Italian. Uh-huh.
Hey, great.
Italian Truther and Vincent Easley. He's, like I said, he's been with us the whole show. He helped us out a lot this week and bring us some more just spreading of the word, awareness
good.
of your show. Spreading awareness, yeah.
That's good. Okay, what we wanted to talk about now was just exactly why are they doing this? What are they trying to find out, if anything? And so that's why I wanted to ask Barbara, what's her opinion on what is going on and why? What's the purpose?
Well, as we mentioned before, Dr. Carpenter, I mean, there's usually a dual purpose. One could be surveillance, okay, and the other could be intimidation tactics. But if you do not allow these people to intimidate you, and that's made very clear, then they switch to another tactic. But they have unlimited resources. They have unlimited personnel, whereas you or I or any of their targets, we don't have that. So the weapon that we have against them is to expose them. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you look at, for instance, Google Earth, right? Google Earth, it's on the internet. If you get a street address, you can get a map, and you can zero in on a photograph whenever it was taken, the latest photograph that they have. You'll see the rooftop of that residence. You'll see anything that was there at the time, in the time frame that the photograph was taken. So you can spy on anyone. And it's not just these government people. Anybody has access to this. Then they have something even worse than that, which is the Google Real Time. And of course, Google is in bed with NSA. I mean, this is just a known fact. Google is a spy operation. It's a surveillance operation. They manipulate data on the internet, as I'm sure you well know, as veterans of the Google wars, as I am. And so let's say somebody has this real time. Now, this is just, think about this. What's available to the average person on the internet is nothing compared to what's available to government spooks that want to spy on you. They can find out anything. They can listen to your conversation. Some of these people have, and this technology, what I'm going to describe is probably outmoded. They have these certain types of microphones. I think they're called parabolic microphones and directed microphones. They can station themselves outside of a house, and they can hear a conversation inside the house.
Yeah, that's the parabolic does it. You are placing one of the focus of the parabola, and you can get the waves. Yeah,
exactly. And all this technology has been deployed against me for many years. And actually, before anybody in the public ever heard of any of this technology, in the general public, I had exposed this. We're going back 20 years or so. I had exposed this technology, and people were laughing at me. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're a nut. No, I'm not, because I investigated this technology, not because I'm some kind of expert. I am not. But it was used against me, and I needed to find out exactly what it was about. So I found sources. I found private investigators. I found surveillance experts that did have the expertise. And I learned exactly the kind of technology they have available. And what we know is available is far away from what they really have, because the technology, to my knowledge, is probably 50 years ahead of what they will even admit that they have. They've got patents. If you look at DARPA, or any of these patent offices, they've got the technology. So there is no privacy. They're violating privacy with impunity, and they can and they will gather whatever information from your private life that they are able to get, and they do it.
Yeah, that's not encouraging.
No, but you have to fight back. In other words, when you find out, if you see a suspicious car, ideally you can confront the perpetrator. If you can't do that, if you can't get them before they burn rubber, you can take a photograph or whatever it takes. But at least now we're exposing it. We're exposing that now they're doing this. Okay?
I need to look into that Google Real Time. I guess I'm just ignorant. I didn't know about it.
Well, I can tell you that last weekend, I visited my son, and he lives in New York State, and he has one of those iPhones. See, I don't have all that fancy technology, but he has a iPhone. So he said, let's take a look. We were talking about the government and where they spy. And he said, let's take a look at this address. So we punched in this street address where he lives. And immediately a photograph came up on Google Earth. It showed the house. It showed all the surrounding territory. Okay? And if a car was parked in the driveway at a time, let's say if a person that lives there or was visiting, that would be displayed too. Then we went to my street address where I now live. And of course, it zeroed right in. This is not even the real time. This was just the Google Earth. And it showed my home. It showed all the surrounding places. Okay? And it's really very distressing and disturbing, because in Google real time, if I were to get out of my car, park in my driveway, and get out of my car, somebody that was doing the surveillance would be able to see all my activities, the time that I entered my home, and they can certainly, which I also told my son, which I'm trying to educate him on who and what the government really is.
Right.
And I said, do you know that with this iPhone, that you and I are sitting here at the table in the dining room having a conversation, do you realize that they can listen to everything that we are saying? Do you realize?
Even if your phone is off.
Yes, but the phone was on. But even if the phone is off, because they have me in their radar sites and have had for many years. And I said, do you not think that they also now have you in the radar sites? Because they do.
And a GPS blip.
Exactly.
Following your phone.
Exactly. And here's another thing. Okay, my son recently got a dog. And I love dogs. And I can't have a dog where I am right now. But I love the dog that he got, a little terrier dog, or baby, Mm-hmm. And he bought the dog from a pet store. And I found out that the dog had been previously microchipped.
Chipped, right. They do that a lot.
Yes. And so I said to my son, do you understand that now any location where you are, where you're taking your pet, that they can locate you from the location of your pet? He's microchipped. And my son said, oh, will they do that in case he gets lost? I said, oh, that's what they say, isn't it? I said, but do you realize with the technology they have, they can also use it as a transponder, and they could zero in anytime, anywhere, and they can know your location by your phone, by your dog, and by any other means that they have available. Do you not realize what is really going on here? And
the digital angel.
Exactly.
Digital angel, yeah.
Exactly. And this is the level to which it has devolved in this country, that there is no privacy. They've got RFID chips. In fact, some of the government agents, including me, including my friend Gerald Sosby from the FBI, we were both had implants placed in our bodies. Okay, he proved it by whether it was some kind of a scan of some kind, and published it on his website. The government puts microchips and implants in their own agents, and they did the same thing to Timothy McVeigh, who was falsely accused
without knowledge,
without his knowledge. Okay, the military, the government, CIA, FBI, they've been doing this for decades because they think they own you. If you work for them, they think they own you. And
I never forget that episode of Sean Hannity when he had the president of VeriChip Technologies on there, and Sean Hannity was going, as a future or soon-to-be investor, I love this idea. You should put it in earrings. And then he said, put it in a cross. Put it in a cross.
Exactly. And you know what? You get people promoting this idiot, Sean Hannity. Okay? You get so-called conservative newspapers promoting.
I think the show is ending.
Are we almost over? Are we almost at the end here?
Thank you for
Barbara
listening.
Hartwell. Thank you, Barbara.
With
Yeah, I
Dr.
think
Carpenter.
it ended already and we couldn't say goodbye. Oh well. Yeah, it's an interesting.